Well, hello everybody. Today in this Kinsta video, I have the honor to interview Estela Rueda. I know Estela for quite a few years. I don't remember exactly when we met first, but maybe you remember. So because we are sponsoring people in the WordPress community to contribute to the WordPress project, Estela is happy to be sponsored by us too. And I want to interview you today, Estela, and to tell the people that are watching this video what you exactly did in the WordPress community, about your history in contributing to WordPress, and what you're gonna do. Well, let's start with the first question. Can you please tell the audience about your history in contributing to WordPress?
Yes, and just to clarify, we met in 2018, somewhere in there, WordCamp Utrecht, if I'm not wrong.
In Utrecht, yeah, in the Netherlands. That was great. And
Yes.
for the people that are watching, we are wearing the same t-shirts.
Yes.
That is totally coincidental. I didn't pay Estela
No.
more to wear this t-shirt.
It wasn't planned. So my past contributions actually started thanks to the community in the Netherlands. I attended my first WordCamp when I moved from the US to the Netherlands in 2017, and I went to my first WordCamp, and it was, well, like everybody else, you feel like a deer with the headlights on your face, and I was totally lost. I sat through many talks, and they were speaking like a different language to me. I had no idea what they were talking about. And then I went to the contributor day, and I saw all these people sitting in groups and talking, and I felt like everybody knew. And I was like, what is wrong with these people? Till then I realized, no, there's something wrong with me. I don't understand anything of what's going on in here. So I had a few mentors from the Dutch community, Monique Dubbelman.
Yes.
Monique Dubbelman,
Yes.
she guided me a lot through.
Rietveld?
Rianfeld, yeah, she helped me a lot too.
Yes,
say his
very
name
nice.
one day.
Yes, very good.
He also helped me out a little bit, and I kind of went through and actually you two helped me a lot. Whenever we went out on a couple of dinners after meetups, and yeah, you kind of gave me tips on what to do, what not to do, where to go, and things like that. So I think that I became involved with the WordPress community thanks to the Dutch WordPress community, because you guys helped me out, pull me in, and then I had to find my way inside the community. I started contributing to the design team, because I used to be a website builder / designer. I started like everybody else back in the day, just grab a theme and fix it, and there you go.
Yes.
A lot of us started that way. So I call myself website builder / designer. And it was at WordCamp Berlin. WordCamp Europe in Berlin. When at the contributor day, I sat at that table, and we used to go through tickets and trashing tickets, and I told one of the leaders of the table, I feel like I don't do anything in here. I feel like I don't contribute much just by trashing tickets. I didn't understand the value of it back then. And he looked at me and said, you want something specific? You want a specific project? And I said, yeah. So he grabbed me and he pulled me into the documentation team. And here we go again. People started talking and discussing it, and I'm like sitting there with my eyes like this big, wondering what in heavens they were speaking about. It took me a while, and the project, or the idea of the project, was to redesign the documentation. They had just worked on moving all the codecs into WordPress.org, and they were trying to shut down the codecs, which is still in progress. Believe it or not, it's been like 11 years now or something like that. And I needed to redesign. They needed a designer to redesign the pages because they look kind of weird. I'm like, okay, I can do that. Then I started reading the documentation, and I realized something very funny about this. And I'm going to go back. Very good. Because this is the start of my story with WordPress. When I started the first time that I came into WordPress and I tried to build my first website with WordPress, I went into the documentation, the codex, and that was nonsense. I'm like, how can a non-technical person understand this? This is absolutely garbage for somebody that is non-technical. It is marvelous for developers, for technical people, great. But if you're not technical, if you cannot recode, it's useless. So it became my nemesis back then. We were talking about WordPress version 3 something, and I just hated it. I had to get out of the WordPress community to learn how to build sites in WordPress. And so when I had this opportunity in Berlin and I understand what we are doing, I'm going like, wait a minute, isn't WordPress.org where we build the software? Then why is it that WordPress.org is not, it doesn't contain all the information? It should be like, the Bible of WordPress. So I said, I need to change a lot of things in here. And I wanted to do lots of things, but obviously you need guidance. I had a chat with Matt and Josefa back in 2019, 2020. And I told them, actually it was in 2020 because it was during COVID that Matt decided to open up some office hours. And I'm like, okay, I sign up and see what's up. So I signed and I talked to them and I told them, I explained to them. And Matt was like, why hasn't anybody think about all of this stuff? I'm like, I want to remove the jargon, all the developer jargon from the end user documentation and have two sets of documentation, one for developers, one for non-developers. And then, we can increase and blah, 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 all of that stuff. So he said, go ahead, do it. Don't waste a lot of time. If you see that it's not feasible, don't invest a lot. Okay, cool. I work with the documentation team. Everybody helped me out. Everybody had a little task. There were a lot of reviews. We did it. And then because I started with the idea that I wanted to change the pages, I think that's what put that little nudge into the WordPress team, and they decided, okay, I think it is time to redesign the whole website. And I think that's when it started, because I have my own template, and when I put it on, and when I try to put it on, they're like, yeah, but that looks completely different from the rest of the thing. So they went ahead and started. So I like to think that I was a little seed in there that I put, that it grew into something magnificent.
Definitely. That's a great story about how you started that. I can totally relate to the codex being because I used to use that before I started at Kinsta, use the technical documentation, and I had the technical knowledge to understand everything that was in the codex. But what you said, someone who's not really into the code will have a hard time reading that. So I'm very happy that you, basically took the lead and started the improvement of the WordPress documentation on the WordPress .org website. So on WordCamp Europe this year in Basel, some announcements were made about your next steps in this documentation project. Can you tell us a little bit more about your plans there?
Yes. So I want to use AI to help us write documentation. There are several reasons why. And I'm talking only about the end user documentation because the developer documentation mostly comes directly from the code as the software is developed, so it comes through there. That's for those who don't know where that comes from. The end user documentation. So we have issues. We have the first one, the biggest one, not enough technical writers. Unfortunately, we run into what I call badge chasers that just come in and contributors that come in and like, what do I need to do to get a badge? And I can just open a ticket where you have a typo in this article, and then I get a badge. And they don't understand the whole process of teaching somebody, onboarding somebody into the documentation team, and the effort that everybody has to do just to review that little ticket for one letter. I mean, sometimes it's just tell me what it is and I'll fix it in a minute. That's easier. So we have that problem a lot. We run into that problem a lot. And then when releases come, when we have a new release, sometimes we have to wait until the second or last release candidate before we can start writing end user documentation, because sometimes a little feature at the end of the day they realize that this feature conflicts with something else, so let's regret it. Let's not regret it, reset it, put it aside, and then we do another one. We'll send it to next to a different release, etc., etc. So a lot of times we have 2 weeks to write 10 new articles,
a lot of documentation
and review. That's not a lot of the update of the writing, but it's like review like 20 articles. That's where the hard thing is. And we're not having enough people to have the knowledge, to have the language and style that we use, and to have the level to review, because then we get the writers, but then there are only 2 reviewers. It's like we don't have enough, so we're always behind. Like right now we are at 6.82, and we are still reviewing and updating documentation from 6.4. So my idea is to use AI to write documentation, to review documentation. I'm still working, on a framework first, because we have tested out right now, and it only gives us like to-do list. Oh yeah, if you want to use this block, blip 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 blip, and you're like, no, you gotta tell a story. So, but that's fine, because I haven't entered, the style guide. We haven't entered an example of our writing. We haven't entered a glossary. Okay, so that's the other story. It gives us different names. For the admin panel, they call it something strange. So because it doesn't have the glossary. That's fine. That's the first thing I'm going to focus on. I still need to do a couple more tests to see what are the issues that it's having before I put in all the correct information that I want to give it, and then start teaching it to write from videos. When we have a release, we always have a source of truth. It's a Google Doc that the release team has access to, so that we know what we are focusing on. That's our guide. We're going to work on this, and it's got all the tickets, and it's got the releases, and as features are being built, then they add videos of how this should function. So I think that we can use those videos to start writing the documentation. Now, my idea is not, and will never be, to go, well, maybe not now. I will never say never, because I don't know what's going to happen later in the future with AI, but
True.
not now, is have it to give us a correct article up to a 90%. We will always have, and we have that one to a first review, perfectly fine. We'll know if we skip the second review or not. Because right now we have 2 reviews per document, per new article and per update. So we'll go ahead and we'll do that. If I have it at 90%, I think we're good to go. We will have enough time during those 2 weeks that we have to write. I think we can make it. And then let's see what happens. Now, the future of this is, hopefully we can write, once I have all that done, we can write a plugin. Well, not me, because I'm not a developer. I'm going to grab the meta team and the core team, and then they are going to do this for me. Well, for all of us, to create a plugin that can do all of this. Once I have the framework, I think that they can work on a plugin that will help WordPress.org write on all of this. And then from here, I have ideas about where to go. But, I don't know. I don't know. They're just like ideas running in my head. Maybe we can use it to connect or create an API so that external sites, that's one thing that is really important, that I really like. That have an external site, for an instance, that can connect to the documentation, and just pull in if you have 5 blocks on your team, just connect to the documentation of those 5 blocks and then pull them out. Why this? Because if you think of an enterprise website, right? You have your company, your agency that is building the site and is giving you those exact 5 blocks that you're going to use on the theme. And who are going to use those 5 blocks? I don't know, marketing, the content team. Do they know anything about WordPress? No. Do they know how to use one? I mean, the other day, and this is one example. I was building a website and I was trying to use the read more block, and that's when I realized our documentation wasn't complete, because it didn't tell me how to make it work. It told me what it was, but it didn't tell me how to make it work, and I could not, for heaven's sake, make it work.
Wow.
And it's not as simple as people may think. I use these things on a daily basis, and I still don't know. So if you pull this, these 5 blocks, then the content team can go like, oh, but how do you use the read more block? I don't understand. Okay, let me go look into there. This way, the agency does not have to build a documentation specific for that client, but they can pull directly. It's already there. There's no point. Now, somebody asked me, why not send them to WordPress.org? And it's like, because honestly, WordPress.org as a site is a monster. It's a beautiful site for us that build the software, for us that are on that site 20, 30, 40 hours a week. It's fine. We understand it. For somebody new, it is a monster. It's horrendous. The navigation makes no sense. You don't know what you're looking for. And if you are not very familiar with all the information, you're going to find repeated information throughout the site. But it's not necessarily repeated, because each data point has its goals. So it's very difficult. It's very complicated.
Yes. Yeah, I totally understand. Let me do a little resume of
Yeah.
your answer. So basically, you're going to use AI to speed up the process of both constructing, compiling the documentation and reviewing it. And on the other hand, you would like to start integrating documentation into the WordPress admin where people, as you said, insert some kind of block and can
Yeah.
immediately see how they should use it in their own dashboard instead of going to another place, whether it's WordPress.org or whatever, to read the documentation and then go back to the dashboard. I think that's totally a great idea because you are building something, and if you have like knowledge of 20 blocks that you use regularly, you know how to use that. If you want to use a new block, you insert the block and you're like, how does this work? You need to check it out, check the documentation out, and if you have that in line or somewhere in a whatever in a box in your WordPress admin, that would be really amazing. So thanks for leading this new development in documentation. So what are your long-term goals for this sponsorship that Kinsta has offered you and you have accepted, of course, regarding the documentation project?
Well, I'm gonna use all of this time to do a lot of research on AI and see how it's going to help us and start testing and start building, see how far I can go. I already actually at WordCamp Europe, I had a chance to talk to Matt and Mary about my plans, and Mary said, once you have, a proposal or pre-proposal or a plan, reach out and we'll work on it. When I told Matt, he said, you got all my support. Let me know what you need. Is this the best way to do it? I don't know, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to test it. I want to see it happen. I told the documentation team already, and they are really looking forward to it. And they're like, really, let's go, let's do it. Because this is one thing that I have. We are like 5 people regular in documentation. And when we bring ideas about let's do something, we'll just jump in. And let's see if it works. If it doesn't work, we just move on and try something else. But we support each other a lot. I'm not the only one bringing ideas. Everybody brings ideas. I mean,
Sure.
all 5 of us, and
Yes.
and it's great. So
Yes.
we're very few now, with a lot of new people that come around, but we're very few in the team, and we do work a lot, and we support each other. And I think that is great because that help us give continuity to any project that we bring on the table.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for your contributions so far and for your future contributions also. Thanks for your time also for this interview. I hope we can share the message with a lot of people that are interested in what people do for WordPress and especially what you do for WordPress. So thank you very much and have a great day.
Wait. Let me show you my t-shirt.
We can do the t-shirt thing.
Yeah, let me see. Let me pull it down. It's the one that I got at WordCamp Europe.
Very happy to see you wearing it. Definitely. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Right,
all right,
thanks.
Well, thank you.